there's been a plethora of trauma in my life, like, you know, from birth, being sexually abused, my father committing suicide, abusive relationships, for sure. What would I say to people who are struggling with these things right now?
Yeah.
Most importantly, I just want them to know that they're not alone. That I know they feel hopeless, like dying. I know that they probably feel like they'll never be happy again. I've been there. I've felt all of those things too. Maybe they don't know, but I know that you have like this really still small voice inside of you. You have this really still small voice inside of you that says, like, don't give up.
Welcome to Rise Above. Today, we're delving into an extraordinary journey with a powerhouse, the amazing Kayla Harrison, a two-time Olympic gold medalist, two-time lightweight PFL champion, and my co-host. Join us as we focus on Kayla's incredible story of facing adversity with unmatched resilience. Did you do your taxes yet, Kayla?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
She's such an she was definitely the one in class when she went to class.
Yeah.
Hand up in the front, answering all the questions. Overachiever.
It's called.
I invited my 6th grade teacher. I had a Harry Potter premiere party when we were in 6th grade, and I invited Mrs. Maines, and everybody was pissed because they all hated her. But I was like, I don't care. She loves me, and I like her.
Was this the very first Harry Potter?
Yeah. No, it might have been the second one. I don't remember.
Shout out Miss Maines.
Yeah, Mrs. Maines. Mm-hmm.
Wow, is she in Ohio?
I used to stay after school and like rebind the books. And,
oh my God.
And that's why she's an adult and we aren't.
I know.
I loved school. School was my escape.
You're smart. You are intelligent.
I'm not smart.
You are.
I loved school.
You know the difference between you are.
Most of the time. If it's
There,
before
there,
10
they are.
p.m. Yeah.
Oh, don't you hate when people mess that up?
I mean, I try not to judge too harshly because I know that I
judge the
can't
shit out of them.
Do you?
Oh my God, there.
That's the worst one.
I've definitely fucked
Mike,
that
bro,
up before.
come on.
So, no, I've definitely messed it up before. I'm sure.
You are.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Yeah.
I always have to pause and like make sure I did it right.
Yep. Hope you are doing well. So wait, where Miss Maines? Where
Mrs.
did
Maines?
you go to school, Miss Kayla?
Well, I grew up in Middletown, Ohio, which is a tiny, not super teeny, but it's a small town in Ohio. It's very original. It's right in between Cincinnati and Dayton, so therefore it is Middletown. I went to school there up until my junior year. And then I was going to school online at that time, and then I moved to Boston.
Why were you going to school online?
Because I was training to be an Olympic athlete.
No way. I gotta act like I don't know you.
I know.
On here for the audience, but
You got
so
pretend.
Why were you? Wait. So how many people were in your graduating class growing up?
I don't know because I didn't graduate with them.
But like each
probably
like elementary school,
3.
first grade. How many people were in first grade?
I don't know, like 15.
That's it.
20. No, but we had there were other schools. Like there were probably 300 kids in my graduating class.
I feel like so. I grew up in Long Island. There were I want to say 120 in my elementary in first grade.
Oh my gosh.
Where I went.
Really?
Like each grade. Yeah, following me along. The same
Well,
elementary school.
there's all different. There are all different elementary schools, and there were probably 2 first grade classes. I don't know. Don't ask me to do math.
You're confusing me.
God knew if I could do math, I'd be too powerful.
Oh my God, you would be too powerful. What? Wait. Okay. So you grow up in Middletown, Ohio.
Yep.
How many siblings?
I have a younger half sister and half brother.
Half brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What are the ages? Or age gap, rather.
My sister's 4 years younger than me, and my brother's 8 years younger than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how did you get into judo? Give us the whole scoop.
Well, the story goes that I saw a karate commercial on TV, and I was running around the house like karate chopping stuff. I was kind of a tomboy, a bit of a wild child, like a little unruly. And my mom had taken judo in college as like a self-defense class. And so she thought it would be really good for me. So she took me to the local dojo. And that was it. man. That was like literally, I did ballet. I did dance before that. Like there was a dance studio I could walk to down the street from my house. And I think I did a season of t-ball. But once I stepped on the mats, like I was pretty hooked.
Were you
loved
good
it.
right away?
No.
Were you athletic as a kid? I mean, you obviously athletic enough to...
No, not at all. My nickname when I was a kid was Chunky Monkey.
Chunky Monkey.
No
I
way.
was a little butterball. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Chunky Monkey.
I literally cannot see that at all.
The
Yeah,
philanthropist.
I was thick. Yeah, I was a big little girl. And then it's funny because you look at pictures of me like from before I started judo to I started doing judo, and like 1 year later I have like little baby traps, and I'm like, I just like turned it all, and I was like, I have a picture of me on the monkey bars, and it's like I have muscle definition at 8 years old or whatever.
That is hilarious.
But I was not good. I mean, I didn't win a judo tournament I didn't win a match for like probably the first 3 years.
You didn't win a match.
So you were just in your bulking stage.
I was, yes.
And then as soon as you got
I
into
had
your,
been planted.
you got into your
Yes.
cut, that's when you started winning everything.
Yeah.
So, by the way, we have Josh with us. I'm like, there's like a third voice. Who is this? No, so all right, no, we're moving up as a podcast. Really, pause really quick on Kayla. We're evolving as a podcast. We have think of Joe Rogan Experience. Jamie is his like guy. We have an engineer.
Where's your laptop in case I have a
His
question
name is
to ask
Josh.
you?
The laptop.
It's underneath.
Yeah, it's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have a question, he'll help us with it.
That's right. I'll just start Googling.
Google
We
it
now have
real
an
quick.
engineer.
Okay,
So
good.
welcome, Josh.
Yeah, dude,
We have a sound guy.
I'm glad to be back.
There's like 10 people in this room right now. You guys can't see.
Yeah.
Just on the opposite side of the table this time.
Yeah.
That's good.
Wasn't that your guest on episode? No, it wasn't.
What are you talking about?
We
It's his
hired
twin.
him. Also, can we? I'm making the jump.
Oh, look at him with his little threes. What a
just-
cutie.
3.
Just throw them up, guys.
Wait,
Look at
what do you
that.
guys got?
Sixes.
Sixes.
Come on.
Step up.
Let's go.
What are you doing?
I thought I was coming into the big leagues.
Dude, you got to throw 2 of them some bitches in.
You got to do
So
an
I
upper
have
deck or
3
lower
zinners,
deck.
and you guys have 6.
Double upper deckies, dude.
So this is my first one ever.
Does your gum want a
That's
little
the first one.
Tempur-Pedic pillow?
All right, where do you put it?
Top right, top
Top
left.
right.
Yeah.
You put it down low.
I go bottom. I go
You go
low.
bottom, like skull, right?
Well, I've gone bottom lately because I've worn my gums out so bad
Yeah.
from keeping them in the top.
So you have to switch it.
Oh, I got to.
How many do you do a day?
Do you want to say like how many cans?
No,
You don't have to. We
I
can
don't
keep
do
it
a whole
moving.
can. No, I don't. I don't do a whole can a day, but it's getting pretty. I mean, the more my calorie deficit ramps up, the more Zen I do throughout the day. So it's like,
Balance it out.
Zen is not a sin.
So if I start to like fade off a little bit, Josh, you got to take over, bro.
Are you gonna fade?
No,
you vape,
I'm good.
right?
Yeah.
Did you
no,
quit
I'm good.
vaping? Are you done?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh my gosh, are
Did
you
you?
still holding
You
on?
had
a
a-
I'm
little
trying.
bit?
Huh?
You had a vape on the way here.
That's okay.
did.
Baby step it.
Baby step. So
Baby step it.
this has been in my car for 2 months.
Oh, this is your first one?
This is my first
cheers.
Zin ever.
That was your
Cheers.
first one ever?
First Zin
Dude,
ever.
Come on. Cheers. Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Yeah. So
So terrible.
Zimbabwe's all
This
the way.
is not a illegal. This is just nicotine, everyone. All right.
And if don't start zinning if you've never
Don't
done.
do it. Don't do it.
Well, if you're trying to get over cigarettes and vape, definitely Zen.
No, definitely, it's better for your lungs. Not sure. We're not sure of the long-term effects on the gum and throat.
We'll find out in a few years.
Yeah, but it can't be any worse than vape.
Right.
Yeah, no one has any idea what's inside that. It's
Dude, come on. When I got sober, I started vaping. It was mango jewel pods. Mango jewel pods.
That sounds really nice.
I wasn't
Like it's very.
I wasn't really a smoker or anything, and one of my buddies was smoking a mango jewel pod, and I was like newly sober, and I was away for work. I was on a work trip, and I was like, I just need something to fill the void, you know?
Yeah.
And
Samesies.
I ripped it,
Yeah.
and mango jewel pods actually tasted really good.
I bet
and
they
then
do. They sound good.
My like crackhead thinking. So it's crazy. Like you stop doing drugs and alcohol, your crackhead thinking still is there and kicks in, right? It's the thinking.
Right.
So then they ban them in the U.S. They
Yeah, they had that huge
I could
lawsuit.
swallow this, right? Because I'm swallowing it.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just depends if you're spitter or swallower or whatever.
I'm like, I'm swallowing. Like, I'm good, right? No. Me and Kayla,
Sorry.
the swallower.
Apologize. Apologize for that.
So, yeah, but you put it all, fill in the void. It tasted good. My crackhead mentality, they banned them in the U.S. and I started to get them from Canada. Then Canada, they banned them.
Oh,
and then
gosh.
I'm like so addicted to these things. I have to get them. I started getting them shipped in from Russia.
Holy cannoli.
From Moscow. Some guy in Moscow was sending me.
But
mango
people
jewel
vape
pods.
here all over the place.
Yeah.
But it was that specific one that got banned.
And then 2022, they completely got them, like globally, they're wiped off the face of the earth. There's no more mango jewel pods.
I don't think there's any Juul in general.
Now-
Like Juul itself is
They have tobacco and mint,
really
like
still have those.
menthol. Yeah, they still have
I
those.
thought it was all gone.
No, they still just have those. They don't have the fruit flavor, the fancy, creme
Just that
brulee.
specific brand of vape? Because isn't, like, everyone vapes. Like
Fruit. What you mean, like
Like
fruit flavors?
Juul is banned or like...
No, so Juul flavors are banned. Anything outside of tobacco, Virginia tobacco, and I could be wrong. It's the just the standard flavors.
So all my homies who are vaping tobacco flavor?
So either tobacco flavor or there's like a mint menthol flavor. So they're doing one of those two. They used to have cucumber. They used to have mango,
all the flavors.
creme brulee.
Right.
They got rid of all those
good.
flavors because they said it was too, attractive, like young
Oh,
kids.
to kids. Oh,
yeah,
that
in
makes
high
sense.
school,
That makes
and
sense.
but then you have HQD who has all these fruit flavors, and those are legal.
What's HQD?
That's the vape that I use.
Oh.
Yeah, mine's black ice. It's like a fruity flavor. Yeah.
Sounds like a gum,
It's good. I mean, no, it's not good. Don't do vape.
Yeah, 100%.
So
Yeah,
I'm gonna
ask me
let
a
you just
goddamn
riff.
question.
Go. I don't want to ask. I want.
You're supposed to ask me a
no,
question.
but the best interviews are when you just go off and talk and just.
What do I want to
the
talk
wonderful-
about tonight?
Yeah, well, the audience wants to know a young Kayla. I feel like the audience
Kayla.
knows in the media. We know a lot about you in the more recent years. I want to understand. So, you got into judo. You got baby traps. Was your mom was a black belt, right?
She got her black belt eventually. She was
Eventually.
definitely not a black belt when I started. But, like, really, I think to set the tone for my story, you have to go all the way back to the beginning. You know how I always, when we talk to our guests, I always want to know about their family, the nucleus. I want to know about how they were raised, who was in it, who was out of it. And really, like, the beautiful side of my success, all of the success that I've had, and all of the shittiness that I've had in my life is in big part due to my childhood and due to my father. He was an abusive alcoholic to my mom. They divorced when I was 3 months old, and he, the night she tried to leave, he held a gun to her head. Like, it was very toxic, very abusive. She got out. Eventually met my stepdad, who she married. He was my babysitter. She married, had my brother and sister with my stepdad. I didn't even know that they were my half siblings until I was like probably in high school. Like, that's just, I was so unaware. That's the person I called dad. But I grew up, and my father lived a block away from me my entire life. I would see him occasionally. Now, I was super close with my grandparents. Like, his parents, they would come to my house for Christmas and for Thanksgiving and for holidays. They lived a block away from me. I would spend time with them all the time. And they treated my brother and sister like those were their grandkids too. Like, I was super close with them, super close with my mom's parents. Like, those were the really strong models in my life, were my sets of grandparents and my mom and my dad, my stepdad.
Was your father there too, though? So those holidays, did your mom and dad eventually start getting along? And did you do holiday? You said your father's parents would come for holidays.
Yeah,
Would he come as well?
No, not when I was young.
Okay.
No. I mean, they had 50-50 custody, but when I was young, it was just that's why I commended you for showing up for your daughter, because I remember, back when I was young, we had the voicemails, right? Like the machines.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember and my mom shouldn't have done this, but walking in and her playing a voicemail for me, like my dad saying, oh, I'm going fishing and we're probably going to be gone for 3 days. So I'm not going to be able to pick up Kayla. And, just was not there, an absent father. And that led to a lot in my life. Like, that led to me being sexually abused. That also led to me being in abusive relationships as an adult woman. It kind of set the tone for what I thought I needed to earn. And I can be grateful for it now because it has given me such an amazing life, and I have peace, and I understand that, hurt people, and he did the best he could. I understand addiction now. I understand trauma. I understand that he probably had also a very hard life, and I can let that go. But it definitely, growing up without my biological father knowing he existed and him not being in the picture played a big role in who I became. And my stepdad, an amazing human being, solid as a rock, was there the whole time. But I guess it's different, as kids we know. I mean, I didn't consciously know that as a child. It wasn't until I got older that there started to be drama and stuff like that. But yeah, so when I think about my story and everything that I've been through, it's weird being a parent now, because there was a point in my life when I forgave him, and I was we were kind of talking and we were okay. And then I became a parent overnight, and that brought up a whole bunch of shit for me again. And I realized that wasn't really healed for me, and that I was I just couldn't get over. I could never imagine not talking to my kids for a day. When I don't talk to my kids for a day, yep, I feel sick, I feel not well with my soul. And so it's really been that's something I'm still working on, I forgive him, but I don't talk to him right now, and he's a born again Christian. He sends me text messages all the time. I saw him when my grandfather recently passed. I gave him a hug and I told him I loved him. But I don't have space right now to not be reactive. So that's not a relationship I'm trying to foster at this moment. I acknowledge him, and I forgive him, but it's not. And I think that was something that we have talked about recently too, where it's family can be toxic too, and family can be, you can set healthy boundaries with your family. You don't have to, you should never do something out of obligation. And I spent a huge chunk of my life people pleasing and doing things out of obligation, and because that's what a good girl does, or that's what I should do, or that's what a family girl does. And no, fuck that. You should do nothing out of obligation. You can set healthy boundaries for yourself and for others, and either people respect them or they're not in your life. Right. And you have you have to do what's best for you.
When I people please and I appease others, it creates a lot of unmanageability in my head.
So unmanageable.
And it makes me less, of service to others around me. And I'm taking away from others around me to appease or people please one specific person, whether it's family, a friend. But question for you, Kayla, and just to back up a little bit and dive a little deeper. So at a young age, hearing those voicemails, your father was late picking you up or he couldn't pick you up. That's a tough thing for a child. I mean, an adult, let alone a child,
Yeah,
to digest.
for sure.
But now I feel like as an adult, you understand, you have a little more awareness. You
Totally.
are a parent yourself. What was the feeling as a child? Was it just was it a rejection?
Yeah,
feeling?
no, I mean,
did you feel not good enough?
Yeah, unworthiness. You know, I think that is where kind of all of my core wound, like my core wound as a child, is shame and feelings of unworthiness and feelings of being unlovable, that I'm not enough just being me. So I have to go get straight A's. I have to go win this judo tournament. I have to go do all of my chores without being told. I have to go make the bed.
That's wild.
I did so much. I mean, I won 2 Olympic gold medals because I thought I was an unworthy, unlovable piece of shit, you know? And that, it's crazy to look back at that time in my life because I thought I was really happy and realize I was so fear-driven, so fear-driven.
Oh, that's the worst.
I mean, I'm grateful. God, my life is so amazing. I couldn't picture my life better, right? You know, I have the most unbelievable peace and happiness, and it could have turned out way, way worse. So I'm super grateful that my fear got me that far, and I'm so grateful that I woke up, you know, that I chose to do something different and to oh, hey, you don't have to do things that way. And I'm skipping ahead a lot, but that was a big fear of mine too. Was well, if I let go of this broken child inside of me and heal her, will I still be me? Will I still be a killer? Will I still be able to accomplish what I want to accomplish? Can I let go of this wound and find success? What we as our society deems a success, you know?
On the flip side of that, though, just to take a look at, you won 2 gold medals, and for our listeners that don't know you that well, and are struggling with an absent parent or just an instrumental person that is absent in their life, and they're seeking validation or acceptance from that person, you went out 2 gold medals, won PFL lightweight champ of the world twice. And you still didn't feel whole.
Oh, this is the problem.
That's crazy.
Almost enough is never enough.
Right.
Almost enough is never enough. And until you get really still and get really quiet and you learn to love that part of yourself, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be an absent parent. We all have something. We all have a wound. We all have a deep shame or a feeling inside of us that drives our ego and drives who we are. And so, we talk a lot about addiction on this show, and addiction is just a symptom. It's not the cause. The cause is the deep wound. And so in order to heal that, yes, first you have to stop the bleeding. First you have to stop being addicted to whatever it is you're addicted to, or whatever coping mechanism you're using, whatever, people pleasing, external rewards, validation, cars, money, sex, whatever it is. First you have to stop that, but then you have to go in, you have to be willing to sit with whatever the fuck it is and be okay, well, can I accept this part of me and love me? Can I love me? And this is why belief in God or a higher power, I think, is so integral. You don't get to give yourself unconditional love until you can believe that you're lovable. And so having a maker, someone made you, something created you, something thought you were worthy of putting together. The same thing that made the stars made you. That makes me feel lovable. And that makes me realize, okay, yes, there is a scared little girl inside of me who feels worthless, but that's just a story in my head. That's not true. And that may have been the case then, but I'm an adult now, and I have agency over my life. and I am capable of making a choice. Like, do I choose to act out of this place of fear and unworthiness and ego and bitterness, like all of the things, you know? Or can I practice the pause? Can I stop? Can I get right with myself and center myself and like come from a place of love, like love for myself and love for others and love for my higher power? And like, I think if we all do that, if we all could just get settled down enough to get quiet and like find that piece of us, man, the world would be so much better.
So, yeah, finding that piece. How did you get to a point where you were able to, three things, find that piece, have a choice that you talked about when you wake up, and then to love yourself? How did you, I know, you know, for those who don't know, you got your kids 2.5 years ago?
No, like 5.
Oh, wow.
Almost 5 years ago.
Oh, that's what I meant. Times 2.
4 years ago. No, 5. Yeah. 4 years ago.
Okay, sorry about that.
It's okay.
But that played a huge part in you know, your life and just and changing as a person. But what did you do other than adopt that responsibility overnight of being a mother?
Yeah, I mean, I think it, and again, this is like why God is so good, because I've had a series of what I'll call like little breakthroughs, but really they were rock bottoms. We talk a lot about rock bottom on this show. Like, I had a very long string of rock bottoms where I thought like, okay, like now I can't go any lower than this, and now it's the time to build. And then like, oh God, I was so wrong. I can't go any lower. Like, this is the lowest I've ever been. I'll never be happy again. Like, okay, now here's where I build again.
Oh, you feel like that too?
Oh, I think everybody does. Yeah. I think everybody does. Yeah. We just don't talk about it enough, you know? But
been there too many times. Oh my God.
It's but yeah, I think the series of events of my life all kind of led to the moment where I became the most aware I've ever been. Like, every day I think I become more aware. I call it like awake, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm not awake all the time. I'm not present all the time. I still disassociate. I still get triggered. I still, you know, fuck up. Like, we're all human beings. But I call it blinking. Like, I'm blinking more now than I've ever been. I'm the most spiritually fit. I'm the healthiest I've ever been. And I mean, it was because of rock bottoms. You know, it was because I lost a fight. It was because I was a single mom overnight with 2 kids who had been abandoned and didn't, like, it was because Bob died. It was because my dad committed suicide. It was because I was sexually abused. Like, all of these things were the catalyst to me being like, oh my God, I don't want the rest of my life to look like this. Like, I don't want to stay stuck in this cycle, in this loop of fucking misery over and over and over and over and over again. So either I wake up or I give this to my kids to carry, and then they have to choose to try and break the cycle, and they have to try and wake up. And I was like, well, I'm not doing that. Like,
yeah,
you don't want to carry on like a family tradition, basically.
Yeah.
So like that's something I wanted to ask you about. So I come from a long line of, unfortunately, I come from a long line of alcoholics on both sides, and I know, like, on, you know, one side of my family, I understand where it comes from, but the others, it's like, I still to this day, I'm like, I don't know where it came from, but it, like, wrecked a lot, especially, like, on my father's side of the family. Where do you think that your dad's alcoholism, like, derived from? Like, what was, like, the root of it? Was that something that, like, did his father or father's father or anything like that? Or was it just something that he...
No, and that's why it was always so hard for me to have compassion for my dad, because my grandfather, who just recently passed away, was a beautiful, amazing, like, he taught me what love is. He taught me, like, both of my grandfathers taught me what a good man is.
They, like, set the standard
and they
for you
set
for
the
a
standard.
Man. Yeah.
Humble man of God, never drank, didn't smoke, didn't curse, went to church. Like, he loved to bowl, super athletic, played basketball up until, like, I don't know, his 70s, like, quiet, never bitched, never complained, worked at a paper factory his whole life, like, took care of his family. And so I I don't know. I've never had that conversation. I'm not even sure that my dad could have that conversation with me. Like, what happened to you? That's, that was such a great book for me to read. I don't know if you've ever read it, but it'll give you a lot of insight. It's by Oprah and Dr. Bruce Perry. And it talks all about kind of like, it's not what's wrong with you, it's what happened to you. And I don't know what happened to my dad, but there's a core wound there.
He never explained anything like to anybody, like even your grandfather. He never was like, hey, this is what happened, or like, this is what I'm going through and this is why I'm the way I am. Or
no, I mean, and I didn't ask. And when I was young, I definitely didn't.
Well, you're oblivious.
Didn't care. I was afraid of him for a long time. Like my mother doing the best she can. Love her. She's watching my kids right now. Like I have a good relationship with my mother.
Aww,
I know.
That's amazing.
Lovey's here.
Your mom trolls me big time.
I know.
On Instagram. I troll
Well, you
Kayla.
Troll me, so
I troll the
someone's got to have my back.
On Instagram, and then her mom trolls me hard. Yeah. Sorry.
But she definitely gave me, there are certain, in my opinion, like kids, she gave me a role of a friend. She had me when she was really young, like 21, and she made me too much of an equal as a young child. And so I knew things that I shouldn't have known about my dad. Yeah. And I didn't really even want to be around him as I got older, because I was like, screw this dude. Like, he's a psycho,
Yeah, you have to grow up at a young age, basically.
Yeah, you do.
Did you use, so like, for example, for what your dad, like the alcoholism and everything, that did you use that to basically push you through life to get to where you are now? Like, you use that as motivation? Like, something for me is like, I'm not going to be that person for my kid.
Repeat the story.
I'm not passing this down generationally, so this shit is going to stop with me. And I'm going to be successful and not have my kid grow up in the same manner or, household or drama or whatever. I'm going to do my very best. Of course, you're going to have situations where the shit does hit the fan. No family's fucking perfect.
Right.
But I'm going to do whatever I can to not be that person for my kid.
Well, what's so interesting about it is that it's not really consciously controllable. Like, I said that, and I didn't really drink. Like, I was an Olympic. I moved to Boston when I was 16. I wasn't a partier. I didn't get into like crazy. hadn't even smoked pot until, I don't know, after my.
You never smoked pot. What are you saying?
I have tried it.
Never.
I'm sorry.
Kayla has never smoked pot.
But yeah, it wasn't necessarily that I had issues with. I tried to find my dad in every man I dated. And I went from abusive relationship to abusive relationship until, I almost died, to the point where history repeated itself. So, like, I had a gun held to my head and I still didn't leave. No. And it was only by the grace of God and him giving me those 2 kids and me realizing that, like, holy fuck, like, you can't make that a happy home. Like, no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you love him, no matter how quiet you are when he screams, like, you can't make that a happy home. And are you gonna let your daughter grow up and think that that's love
in that environment? Yeah.
And that's okay. And because for me, it was okay, because I didn't love myself enough for it to not be okay. Like, that was the standard of love that I chose to accept for myself. But when I looked at her, I was like, get the fuck out. Like, you have to go.
I feel like it's like a self-respect. Like, you lose self-respect for yourself. Yes. And that's why you stay in that position, because, like we discussed last time I was here, that goes back to that, like, trauma bonding. And then the biggest thing is something I've been trying.
It's an addiction.
It is an addiction. And having no self-respect, because I have friends too who've done the same thing. They've been in horrific toxic relationships for years. And even when everybody's like, dude, you got to get out of this. Like, you're so much better than this. Like,
oh, and I tried.
You deserve so much more than this. And I don't know why you're still doing this to yourself. And all they do is just hype that other person up of like, they're beautiful. Like, I have buddies like, I'll never find anyone more beautiful. I'll never find anybody that's better than this. No one will ever be better than this. And it's like, dude, you're putting shit out there that nobody believes, but you're just telling yourself this every day.
But they can't control that.
And you can't. And I was that person too. I did this exact same thing for almost 6 years of just going, yep, I'll never find anything better. This is it. And this is all I know. And I'm just attached to this.
I didn't even feel like I'll never find anything better. I think I just was like in those moments where because I left over and over and over again. Like, I would be like, that's it, we're done. Like, you're not going to treat me like, and I would call my mom and she would come, like I told people and he got kicked out. Like, I did the whole thing. Like, I would go through the motions, and then it was that feeling, he's also these men that I dated were also severely wounded humans. Like, that I can have compassion for them now to understand that, like, it takes a super hurt person to hurt someone and the way that they hurt me. But like, they also are so unaware, like, but they know when you're weak, they know when you're vulnerable. Like, just the way it all worked out. Like, I am grateful for it now, but it wasn't like it wasn't a choice. That's why I want people to know, especially like people who are close, like a loved one who's in a toxic relationship. Like, they're not actively choosing to fuck up their lives. It's not, you can't control that impulse to like try and earn love. That's a subconscious, that's a nervous system wiring. Like, you don't go to what feels good, you go to what feels familiar.
Yep.
And you
nailed that one.
You don't even like, you're not even trying to like, I was trying to change the story. Like, I felt like I was trying to change the story. Like, if I love him enough, if I give enough, if you
say yes enough,
if I whatever enough, like, this time it'll be different. This time it'll be different. But you're just going to what you know because you're so scared of what you don't know. And you're so terrified. Like, for me, it was terrified of being alone, or like failure was also a really big thing for me. Like, he would say, like, you failed us, and I couldn't fucking handle that. Like, I was like, I don't fail at anything. Like, I can't fail you. I can't fail us. I can't fail you. I have to try harder. I have to give more. I have to be better. Like, and again, like, it really was by the grace of God. It wasn't until my life got so completely unmanageable and I had two innocent humans to think of besides myself that I realized, like, I loved them more than I loved him, and more than I loved myself.
Question. So once you ripped off that Band-Aid, overcame the fear, went out of your comfort zone, and put the axe down on that relationship, was it everything you built up in your head?
Oh my God, it was terrible. It was like, I'm sure I'd have never been through detox, but I'm sure it was probably like I had to give me and my mom, I told him he couldn't come back. I kicked him out. Me, my mom and the kids left my house because I knew if I stayed there, he would show up crying, begging, and I would break. I gave my mom my phone. I was like, do not give me this phone. Like, I will unblock him. I'll let him back in. It was like detox, like going no contact, breaking that cycle was the hardest thing I have ever done.
Truly is.
And if I didn't have my mom, and fuck my mom, like, dude, you know how many times I brought him back and she still loved me and accepted me and like
still there for you,
was still there for me, hated him. I mean, I didn't even like him
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
But she stood by my side and had my back and like didn't approve, but was still there. And like, if I hadn't had her in those moments, like I don't know that I ever would have gotten out.
Once you got so where I'm going with this is once you got through that detox period, so the fear that kept you in the relationship, once you got through that detox period, how much better has your life become?
Oh my
and
God.
like the fear of like not having him anymore.
Blossomed.
That's what I'm saying.
Blossomed.
Like for the
No,
person
yes,
who's in fear
yes,
that
yes.
is locked
for
in,
sure.
stuck in a relationship that's with a narcissist. You know, I want to convey to them that it's
Oh my
not
God.
as don't be fearful.
Hope.
Your life's going to get better.
Life, literally life
You
is
wake
on the
up.
other side
You wake up.
of everything you're afraid of. Like
Yes.
really life is on the other side of everything you're afraid of. And I know it's scary and I know it feels like death. Like it felt like I was dying. It felt like I would never be happy again. It felt like I couldn't breathe. And holy shit, here I am, alive, breathing, thriving. Like it gets better. And it doesn't get better overnight, and it doesn't get better with the snap of a finger, and it doesn't get better like you wake up and you're Mary Poppins and like, no.
Time.
But time does heal, and strong boundaries, strong self-worth, strong connection. Like eventually I learned, because then I went and got in another shitty situation like right away. I woke up enough to get out of that, but I didn't wake up enough to
Focus on yourself.
To focus on myself and to stay single and to like not. And of course, when you're vulnerable like that, you are a walking target. And if you're not sharp, like you're going to end up, it wasn't as bad by any means. It wasn't. But again, another toxic, terrible situation. And it wasn't until I, again, hit a little rock bottom and I was like, okay, like, dude, it's not just them. Like, you are a part of the problem. You are doing this to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, there's something that is not healed inside of you that you need to go in and dig up and sit with and figure out. And, like, you need to be alone. And it's okay to be alone. Because for me, that meant I was an unlovable piece of shit. You know, if I was alone, it meant that I was unworthy and that nobody loved me and that I wasn't. Yeah. And I had to sit with that. And again, get really uncomfortable. Oh my God. Like, again, if I didn't have my dog, like, if I didn't have my dog to sleep next to me every night, like, I don't know what and I started pulling these weeds out of my life. I started pulling these weeds of men, weeds of not healthy friendships, not the healthiest relationships, and started slowly setting boundaries, and which felt like I was a bad person, by the way. Like, setting a boundary to me was like, you're mean. You're a bad person. Like, how could you? How dare you? That is what it felt like to me. And again, that's from my childhood. That's from like I didn't even realize that like I had a say in how people treated me. Like, my thermometer, if someone called you, like, had said like, fuck you, you piece of shit, like, you would probably react very differently from how I would react, because my thermometer was set to a totally different temperature from the rest of the world. Like, if someone made me uncomfortable or like pushed too much or made it, like, I just was like, oh, like, that's okay. Like, this is normal. Like, I had to reset my thermostat, and I had to fucking work at that. I had to set little boundaries. I had to pull weeds. And when I started to pull weeds, all of these flowers started to bloom, and I started to have all these connections. And I started, you know, I started, I mean, I've been in therapy for a long time, but started really digging deep in therapy and started going to groups and started going to meetings and started like focusing on me. And like, it's so crazy, but my self-worth was so low. Like, basic needs, like basic self-care was like, and that blows people's minds because I'm a world-class athlete, and like, you would assume that I take really good care of myself, but like, I treated my body like shit. I didn't eat. I would go all day without eating and then eat my kids' leftovers, like, as I'm cleaning up for the night. Terrible sleeping habits, like, didn't really have a strong connection to God believed in God, believed that he existed, but couldn't believe in an unconditional love. Like, I just didn't have that belief because I didn't grow up with it. I didn't have a belief in unconditional love. And so when I started implementing these small things of like, okay, every day I'm going to get up and I'm going to hit my knees. I'm just going to fucking pray. And every day I'm going to get up and I'm going to drink a glass of water. And, okay, I'm going to sit in silence for 10 minutes. And like, my mind doesn't turn off. It does more now, but like, it's still meditating or like being still, trying to hear God is very difficult for me. But like, just small steps. And now I look at my life today from where I was when I was 16 or when I was 20 or when I was 26 or when I was 30, even from 31 to now. And I'm a completely different person. And it was a hell of a journey, but it was all worth it. You know, like I'm just I have so much peace in my life and joy and like real joy. Like I'm talking about the joy that like you don't need a substance to like feel happy. You don't need like a fast, like just joy sitting with my kids and like watering my plants and pursuing my dreams, like real joy that like, and real peace that can't be fucked with, you know?
How long, just curious, because, you know, like we've talked, I've told you my situation. So like how long, excuse me, did it take once you got out of that toxic relationship with that person? How long did it take you to finally get to that point of where you are now, to where you are truly feeling this happiness and you're not waking up with just like, because I've been there, you wake up and the first thing that goes to your mind is literally thinking about everything you've went through, and you just start running scenario, and you're just like,
amplify
I should have fucking said this when she said that, or they said this, and you're just like, I could have said this.
Oh, dude, I was like, I was sick. I would like reread text messages and like look at pictures and like, I would ruminate like a mother.
I had to go through. I've had to delete everything.
When I say I got a new phone, deleted it all.
Everything I had of her, I've had to delete all of it because I know I'll, like you said, you're always gonna like get that low point. You'll break down and be like, I need to reach out. I need to say something. But then you realize it's pointless. Then you realize you're like, this is pointless. I'm gonna go right back to where it was, or they're just gonna shit on you, gaslight you, and then.
Dude, that's why practicing the pause is so important in my life, because my initial reactions and choices are never good.
Impulsive thinking.
So impulsive, so bad, like so bad.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I think it is so important. You bring up a very good point, because once you start to go to therapy, you start, you know, bridging back to life and gaining that awareness, the thoughts don't just mysteriously go away.
Nope.
You talked about having and making a decision, recognizing that you do have a choice, and it's taking the action in the right direction.
Yeah.
So those thoughts are always still there, just not acting off of impulse. And like, it's okay to wait, you know, say a prayer, meditate, call someone.
Oh my gosh.
Like, just bounce something off of someone. Make sure your thinking is in the right place, because it's usually not.
No, like having a mentor or having someone who loves you just for you, and who you can pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I'm having these really intrusive thoughts, or hey, I really like whatever it is. I really feel like I need a drink, or I really want to call him, or I'm feeling really, really, really alone right now, and I don't know exactly what that means, but I know it's going to lead to something probably negative for me. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've called someone and said that, like, and it wasn't easy. The first time I did it, I was like, oh, I should probably just call the guy, you know, like I should probably just call the guy, and like, it'll be okay. And like, it won't make me feel shame, and I won't be upset. And like, it's just like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. But dude, the first time I ever made that phone call, I had a baby quail, And I don't know what it was about the baby quail, but like it was probably not going to make it. And like, whatever. You live on a farm, animals, like it's the circle of life. You know, my kids learned that, like it happens. But for whatever reason, maybe I had a bad practice. Maybe I was just like, didn't drink enough water. I don't know. But this baby quail, like maybe not making it fucked me up. Like I was crying. I was sitting in my car with the quail in my hand, sobbing uncontrollably. And animals was a connection that I had with a toxic ex. And so I was like, oh my God, like maybe I should just call him and like he'll know what to do. And I was like, but if you do that, then you go back to that. And I was like, you know what? I called my friend Adam instead. And I sat in my car with this quail in my hand and I was sobbing. And I was like, I don't know, this quail just like represents like me when I was a kid and I was fucking like innocent and like no one came to save me and I just want to be saved so bad. And like, why did he do this? I just want to be saved. And like, and Adam didn't even really have to say anything. I just had to put it out there. And he just like, you're going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Yeah. And
like, dude, that phone call changed my life. I didn't go to my coping mechanism. I called someone healthier than me and they sat with me until that feeling passed. Like that is
powerful.
Yeah.
That's God. And that's me meeting God, you know, making the choice to do something different.
Taking the action.
And God showing up and letting me know, like, hey, you're not alone. It's going to be okay. And, like, this too shall pass.
It's funny because I remember the first time, there was one night where I wanted to get painkillers really bad. I wanted to go get oxys. I had 20 days sober. And I had been to many, many meetings. And I knew... They always say when the thought pops in, call someone, call your sponsor, call another recovering alcoholic or addict and tell them that you want to pick up. And I did it. I don't know why I did it that one specific night. I told my wife at the time when I was married. I don't know why. I should not have told her, but what do we do? Oh my God. No, but she was super helpful. Let's call your, what do they tell you in meetings? Call my sponsor. Okay, call your sponsor. Let's go. Sunday night. At like 9 o'clock at night, he's at dinner with his family, leaves dinner with his family to sit with me until 1 a.m., until the thought passed. And I never thought in my life, I'd never taken that action. And I always thought once that impulsive thought creeps into my mind, that bad thought, the only way to relieve that thought is to act
on the thought.
Go call the dealer and go get high. And the one time I did it, it was so powerful because I've never, cravings pop up here and there. You know,
of course.
I mean, but I've never had a craving like that ever again. The obsession was lifted and because I knew that there was a possibility that I could break that impulsive thinking. So very similar to your experience.
Totally. I mean, it's
so
the same.
Powerful.
That's why I like all of our stories are so different, but we all like they're all just symptoms, right? Like whatever it is, it's just a symptom. But like learning that a thought doesn't have to be true and that not everything we think is real and that like that's what I mean, like the pause. And again, having tools in your toolbox, having good, healthy people, spiritually fit people in your life, having a tribe, and being able to say, like, being able to be vulnerable enough to say, like, I need help is such a powerful thing. Like, when you speak that out, when you have the courage to speak that out, God shows up, you know? And, like, I still feel lonely. Like, I'm a single mom. Of course, but I know because I made that phone call and then another phone call and then another phone call and then I went for a walk and then I got on my knees and then I, you know, whatever it is, then I worked out. Like I found all of these other things to do like, I know that it's not forever. No feeling is forever. Not the good ones, not the bad ones, not the middle of the road ones. Like, nothing is forever.
Making that call and taking that action, like you said, vulnerability, it's when you surrender to it. That's what it is. It's the first step in meetings. Yeah. It's surrender.
Dude, that was what took me the longest.
You were powerless.
The surrender piece was very, very, very difficult for me. Like,
well, you've accomplished so much, so I would think, you know.
It just had such a negative connotation to me, to surrender. Like, I equated it to failure. Like, I have to surrender. It's
not failure.
But it's not. It's like, it's true strength.
It's true strength. It's inner strength.
But no one taught me that. Like, no one teaches us these things. No one knows, that, like, when you realize that, like, there's this whole big-ass world and, like, you don't have to... I just wish someone had told me, like, I don't have to do everything all the time and figure it out all the time and be perfect all the time. And, like, it's okay to surrender to whatever is happening right now and, like, trust and have faith that, like, everything is going to work out. Everything is going to work out. And it's all working for your greater good. Whether it feels good or not in this moment, like, it's all working for your greater good. That's why, I'm grateful for even the worst of it, like even the wanting to die. Like, I'm so grateful for it because it all worked out for my greater good. And even if tomorrow, like, some bad shit happens, like, I know, like, in my core that it's all going to be okay.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Our society, when you, 1990 you were born? Yeah. So 85, what are you, like 2000 or something like that? This guy over here. 90 what? 90 what?
91.
90. Oh, okay. You're right there with us.
Yeah.
So
thank you for saying I look that young.
No, you do.
Baby face.
So do you think our society, like correlating the two, like a vulnerability or surrendering with weakness, I feel like it's gotten a lot better.
We've made a lot of strides.
With mental health, talking about your feelings, it's okay. And I remember, like, when mental health, it always, every year it makes more and more of a breakthrough from when I was younger. But I distinctly remember Michael Phelps doing a mental health commercial, and I'm like, wow. Like, it just hit home for me. Like, that branding was so on point to the audience it was trying to reach, and it resonated with me. Yeah. Do you think our society, when we were younger, that was a major problem? Because a lot of people don't want to surrender because it's weakness.
No, that's why I give my parents a lot of grace, because I'm like, they did not have any resources, really. Like, they didn't know what they didn't know. And I'm super proud of how far our society has come. Like, I even just look at my peers, right? Like, Dustin Poirier just did this amazing interview on Ariel, and this is a man who literally gets in a cage and fights for a living,
He's a savage.
He is like...
We were talking about it on the way over here.
He's a beast.
I wanted to ask you just real quick, because you brought him up. How electrifying was UFC 299 just recently when he knocked him out?
Yeah.
How loud did that place get?
No, it's crazy.
I've watched that video
magic
so many times
it's
online.
Magic. It's why we do what we do.
I love him.
For that feeling of magic.
And they like talked him down like, this is a huge fight. Like, this dude's a new upcoming. He's a savage. And then he just went in there and got shit done quick.
I know.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. But to me, like, yes, Dustin's performance is amazing. And, like, that's why people love him. But for me, why I love him even more is what he did, Monday after the fight, when he was like, no, dude, like, I wasn't okay. I was in a really bad place after I lost. Like, I was questioning who I am. And, like, his willingness to be open as a man, I think, as a fighter, as this, like, larger than life
dude, he is a
killer.
man's man.
Yeah. And men have feelings too, and it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, dude, I just have so much more, I have more respect for that than for the performance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, that is why he is a winner in life, you know?
When Ariel said, it really hit home for, or at least that respect. I mean, I respect him as a fighter, of course. And then him, you know, being vulnerable in an interview like that. When Ariel asked him, he said, well, was it just in the cage? Or meaning, were you thinking about retirement? And then he said, or was it outside of the cage? And he said it was outside of the cage, alluding to something way more serious.
Yeah.
And for him to say, you know how many people he probably helped just by putting himself out there? And how many people look up to him?
And for him to,
get him on the podcast. If you're listening,
no, for him to just say, like, I wasn't okay. Like, that's such a powerful surrender.
Yeah. It is. It's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. And when you go through it, it's such a humbling process. And it changes you. And that fear behind anything, it starts to go away little by
subside,
little. And it doesn't paralyze you as much in certain situations.
Totally.
I recently, I quit a job at Google. I mean, look, there were other, there were some reasons why, but, just to not have a job and just do a podcast weekly, I mean, 10 years ago, my anxiety would be through the roof. And, yeah, it's just.
That means you're probably in the right place.
Oh, of course. I know I'm in the right place. Absolutely. Yeah. And
but that's the beautiful thing about it. Yeah. Is you did the work and you're
still doing the work.
Still
every
doing
day.
the work but you're also accepting of, like, you're doing something different. You're not doing what you always did to get the results you always got, to, like, run the race you always ran. You're doing something different. And different can be scary, but different is also, like, that's where, like, life happens, real life, like living, experiencing life the way it is meant to be. And when you live in your purpose, when you find your purpose and then you actively take the step of obedience to live in it, like, the game changes. You know, that peace that you have, that, like, the anxiety disappearing, like, that's because you're doing the next right thing. Yeah. You just keep doing the next right thing.
One of the biggest things for me, and I want to hear, in your story, because I watch you from a distance and see that you participate in a lot of self-esteemable acts. And for me, one of the big, so I hit a bottom after, my divorce and, just questioning myself and just jealousy and rage and, all of these different feelings. And I started the pain got great enough where I had to do the work because I was sick of just being sick and tired. And I remember waking up one day and my ex is in a relationship with, a guy, and the guy is always around my daughter. And I used to be so jealous of that. I'm like, I'm the father. I'm her dad. And then I woke up one day and I was like, wait a minute. This guy's a good dude. He's another positive male role model in my daughter's life. He treats my daughter very well. And when I noticed that, I started to really dive in a little more. Like, what caused that change in my thinking? And I noticed, listen, I'm not perfect. I have some asshole tendencies still, very much so, and egotistical tendencies. I'm not perfect, but I noticed a common denominator, and that was just participating in service and helping other people. And listen, I'm not a saint. I don't do this all the time, but just helping people here and there. Yeah. And not being a dirtbag. And, just trying to do the next right thing. Yeah. And I see you doing all of those positive things, like with your church, even with, your daughter's birthday and like, you take on a lot of good responsibility, and you're present in your life.
Yeah.
Elaborate. How did that help you? And even just your conscious contact with God and participating in church and all that.
Well, I mean, I just think that for me, I probably almost had to have the opposite approach to good deeds, in the sense that like I was a people pleaser to the extreme, where like it was detrimental, and actually detrimental for everyone, because then I built up bitterness and resentment, and like had all these stories in my head, and like was like, God, I just do so much all the time, you know, like, and so setting healthy boundaries within myself to realize like what I am capable of and what I'm not capable of, and being like learning to say the word no was a really like hard lesson for me. Like to say no to people that I love, to say no to people that I don't love, like learning to do that was a very powerful step. And it created so much space for me to say yes to the things that like do bring me joy, and helping people, loving on people, like trying to make the world better does bring me joy. You know, like saying yes to this was such a great thing for me, because not only do I get so much out of every Wednesday night, like coming here and hearing people's stories and talking to them and being in the solution and hearing like about how God has moved in their lives, and like just like these stories of triumph, like it feeds my soul. And being a part of something that hopefully is going to help other people, like there's no, you know, nothing feels better than that. Like, and I've done a lot of really cool shit, but nothing feels better than helping someone. And I guess it's just like I don't know. It's one of those things that it's like, what do you always say about like sobriety? You can't keep it unless you give it away. Like that's kind of how I feel about love, right? Like I try to do everything from a very like a place of love, you know, and I can't love myself if I don't love others. Like I can't be good to me if I'm not good to others. I can't be like Christ if I don't embody those characteristics. And so that's why church is so important to me, building my relationship with God and building those fruits of the Spirit, as they call them, you know, the grace, the patience, the kindness, the goodness, the self-control, the love, the mercy, the grace, like building those and like letting God build those within me. Like I have to give them away in order to receive them. I have to be willing to, just like do everything out of love.
I have a question. I don't know why I fucking keep saying I have a question. We're on a fucking podcast and I'm interviewing you.
Yes, you may ask me five more questions.
You miss. So, people pleasing. And two parts to this question. So did you let people ask you and talk to you in a disrespectful manner? And where I'm going with this was the Q&A last week.
Oh, yeah.
You clearly stood up.
This is a very big growing moment for me.
So can I, is that okay if we talk about that? Because
totally.
You stood up, that is not okay.
Yeah.
And you made it very well known. Yeah. And you've set boundaries in the media.
Yeah. No, that was a really big moment for me. Like,
what happened?
My healing. Yeah. So I did it. I did my first like kind of official UFC appearance before UFC 299, and down in Miami they did a fan Q&A. It was myself, Alex Pejera, and Armin. And Armin is a teammate of mine.
Oh, he's your American Top Team. Okay, I didn't know that.
And so right off the rip, like fans were kind of being unruly, and you know they were booing him hardcore. Like they were having people were walking up to Mike and saying like, "Yo, Armin, are you ready to die when, you know, Charles Oliveira takes off your head and like the champion has a name? Fuck you, Armin." Like they were out of control, and it was an eye-opening experience. But I was getting a lot of love, and like people were being very kind to me. Like I was enjoying it. And Armin got asked a question in Russian, and they didn't have a Russian translator there, just a Portuguese translator. And So the guy asked a question. Armin answered it. Like the 5 Russian people that were in attendance like cheered. I laughed, and Megan Olivy, the moderator, was like, "Oh, I wish we could be in on the joke. What did he say?" And he was like, "No, stupid question. Move on." And so I didn't think anything of it. It was fine. And then I woke up the next morning and I was like, my inbox and my Instagram and my website email were kind of like flooded with all like these. I was tagged in all of these Russian outlets, and it's like all of these Russians were like, "Do you know what he said?" And so I'm watching the video, and it's basically, the guy who I guess is a blogger, like a well-known like goofball, asked a very inappropriate question about me. Like basically asked Armin, how many times he would sleep with me in much more vulgar language.
Yeah.
And Armin answered, and at first, I was so embarrassed and like shocked and ashamed and like I don't know why I was ashamed, but I just felt like I had done something wrong, or like to say something would be wrong. Like I'm the new girl. Like I shouldn't even like make waves. Like I should just let it fly. Like whatever. He didn't mean anything by it. It's not a big deal. And the people around me did not feel the same. And I really didn't feel like that in my soul either. Like, I was like, dude, I'm your teammate. Like,
what did he answer? If you don't mind me asking.
A couple. He would have sex with me a couple times.
Oh, wow. I didn't know he said that. Okay.
Yeah. And so I didn't say anything, didn't do anything. And then at UFC 299, he was sitting right behind me. And my best friend, Kayla, was with me at the event. And it was super awkward, super uncomfortable. And I just looked at him and he was like, we had a good conversation about it. I understand where he was coming from. He was caught off guard. Like, he was being booed. I get it. We're cool. I have no problem with that. But then I was like, okay, so do I say something like publicly? And I just felt like I needed to. I felt like for me, standing in my truth, like that was unacceptable. Like I'm a professional athlete. I'm not in the sex industry. Like I am in the entertainment industry. So I understand these things are going to happen, but like, it's not okay to talk about me like that.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to make that known. I think more so for other female fighters and like the next generation of female fighters, because there's a big problem in our industry with like the correlation to females in sex sells.
Yeah.
And like OnlyFans and like all of these things. And I don't care. Like you can say whatever you want. It doesn't bother me. Like I'm not at home crying about it or upset and all the comments and all of this and that. Like it's just noise and I don't care. But I do want other women and young female fighters to know that like it's okay to have a voice and it's okay to stand up for yourself and it's okay to say like, hey, like that shit doesn't fly here. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me. It's in the past. Like I don't care either way, but other females should know that like you can say something. Because a lot of people were like, oh, like welcome to, welcome, you got to get a thick skin and like,
no, fuck that.
You should this and you should that. And I'm like, well, like I should or I could like, but like, no, this is how I feel. Like no one is asking me how many times I would have sex with Alex Pereira, no one's sexualizing him like that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So like, please don't sexualize me like that.
Yeah.
I'm a fighter. I do a job. And like, yeah, I don't know.
I'm not going to ask you your opinion because I don't want to start any, waves or anything, but I'm going to give my opinion. I think there should be, I feel like in the NFL, well, there's no male to female, within the NFL, but like I feel like in other organizations,
to the Olympics, right?
Yeah, no one's going to ask that in the Olympics.
This is where I was like, this is where the shock factor kind of came in for me because it is the biggest stage in the world for MMA. And like I've been on the biggest stage in the world for sports.
Shut that down.
And like that it just would never happen. I can't ever picture it happening at an Olympic event. Mm-hmm. And I get it. Look, free speech, people can say what they want. I'm all for that, right? Like I'm not trying to shut like tell people like who to vote. Like I'm not a part of that. Like you can say and think whatever you want, but I'm telling you, don't speak to me that way or about me that way.
Yeah.
That's it.
Love that.
That's it. It's me. I'm not telling the UFC. I'm not telling that guy. He can think whatever he wants. He can do whatever he wants. I don't care.
Yeah.
But like, don't speak to me that way.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And it's weird because as a guy, I would, all right, let's say I was in your teammates' shoes. I would answer that trying to like compliment you.
Right.
And say, yes, I would.
Right.
Like,
no, I
all
know.
the time.
No,
like,
I know.
because like our society's so fucked up.
No, I know.
That like I would want to like say it as a compliment because if I said no, then maybe she may take it, you know.
Right,
like,
then they're going to say, oh, she's an ugly dog. He wouldn't fuck her. Like,
exactly.
And so I get it. Like, he's in a terrible position. I'm not blaming him at all.
Yeah.
And I also feel weird about it, too, because I'm like, yeah, dude, the reality is sex sells. And, of course, I want people to, like, think I'm likable and, I guess, like, in a fucked up way, attractive to them. Like, but at the same time, I'm like, no, not really. Like, I don't care if you think I'm sexy or not, or
well, good
if you
for
would
you.
have sex with me. Like,
well, no, well, good for you.
But
for
it was a
standing
thought
up.
where I was like,
should I?
Like, should I care if people want to have sex with? Like,
yeah,
you know, these are like the intrusive thoughts where you like go down the rabbit hole and you're like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? Like, I actively signed up for this, you know.
But you have a voice because you have built yourself up to.
Yeah, and I have
point.
people around me who also remind me that I have a voice and that it's okay. To use it.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to use my voice.
Yeah. Well, you looked beautiful this weekend.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
In the
Dude, I got a
Q&A.
lot of Chris Jericho comments. They were pretty funny. I was like...
Hilarious. I showed him that picture. We were dying. But
I was like, oh my God,
he goes,
that's actually pretty fucking
he
funny.
literally goes, look what Kayla sent me, and then shows it to me in the car. And
He
like,
just
Jesus
died.
Christ,
I was
dude.
like, that was pretty funny.
that's hilarious.
All the other ones, though, they can go fuck themselves. I'm
Yeah,
not
fuck.
on steroids. I'll show you my drug test if
yeah,
you want.
you were tested.
Like...
Fuck
But
it.
Everyone else can go fuck themselves, but the Chris Jericho ones were pretty funny.
Hilarious. Jared Gordon, you see his shirt? They're like, oh, bowling champion.
Oh my God,
I
did they
was
make
dead.
fun of his shirt?
Yeah.
I liked it. He looked good.
He's a nice guy.
I'm excited.
Yeah. We talked a lot about, and I love to stay in the solution. I don't like to really, so people can relate to, you know, some of the things that, you know, people deal with when they're younger, digesting it, being able to relate to the feelings, to obviously use the solutions that our guests talk about as a blueprint.
Yeah.
But, you know, someone going through, and we always ask this question, what you went through at a young age, you know, with your father and experiencing, you know, suicide with your stepfather.
I mean, like, there's been a plethora of trauma in my life, like, you know, from birth, being sexually abused, my father committing suicide, abusive relationships, for sure. Like, what would I say to people who are struggling with these things right now?
Yeah. In the thick of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that most importantly, I just want them to know that they're not alone. And that I know they feel hopeless. I know they feel like dying. I know that they probably feel like they'll never be happy again. I've been there. I've felt all of those things too. The grief, the pain, the heartache, like a heartbreak, you know, that you feel in those moments. You're not alone. You're never alone. And I also know about these people that what maybe they don't know, but I know that you have like this really still small voice inside of you. You have this really still small voice inside of you that says, like, don't give up. Not yet. And maybe you can't hear it, but I know it's there for you. And if you can listen to that voice, and if you can reach out your hand, and if you can have the courage to say, I'm not okay. If you can have the courage to say, I need help. If you can have the courage to say anything. If you can listen to that voice that I promise you is there will be help. You know, you will not be forsaken. You won't be alone in this forever. And it won't get better overnight. You'll still feel like dying the next day and probably the day after that and the day after that. But like one day you'll get up and you'll brush your teeth. And the next day you'll get up and you'll brush your teeth and your hair. And a couple weeks from then you might actually crack a smile. And you might start to feel like, oh my God, what is that inside of my heart? Is that hope? Is that what I'm feeling? Am I feeling something right now? And you'll start to feel alive again. But you have to take that first step. You have to listen to that tiny voice, and you have to ask for help. And that's where the journey really begins.
Beautifully said. Let's do some questions.
Okay.
Cold vacation or warm vacation?
Well,
Cold.
What?
you live in South Florida.
We
It's
live
already
in
hot.
warm.
No, bring me warmer, baby.
You want the heat?
I'm done with the fucking cold, man. Come on.
No, I mean, I guess I want to go like a cabin in the woods. It doesn't have to be cold, but like maybe
Treehouse in West Palm.
like a treehouse in West Palm.
She rented a treehouse in West Palm.
Really?
I did for a momcation. I needed silence.
Well, I'm just letting you know, like, you invited me to church. Mm-hmm. My family, we own a cabin up in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Georgia.
Oh my
In Georgia.
At the top
God!
at the
say
top of a mountain.
less. I am there.
And I'm just letting you know.
Is it free on April 14th?
Yeah, my birthday's on the 15th, so there we go.
See, I fight on the 13th. Well, I'll come celebrate your birthday
Dude.
on the
Oh, wait.
15th.
Come up.
Yo, do you
Let's
want to do a trip?
go.
Or do you have like any
Like-
kind of?
Well, I mean, I need to see my kids because I'll have been gone for a
Yo,
week.
bring
Yeah,
your
yeah.
kids. We'll bring all the kids.
Yeah,
We're
I'll bring
going.
my daughter. You bring
Yo,
your
we're
daughter.
going. We'll just.
Dude, I'm in.
I've got.
I swear to God, we'll
Say
get.
less.
We've got
we'll-
4 beds and 2 couches at the cabin.
So the men can be on the couches and I'll sleep
Yeah, all the
with
kids. There you go. Dude, we got like a.
I'll be at the Four Seasons
Yeah.
down the street.
We got a.
Sorry, guys.
Kevin doesn't go camping.
Literally, all we do is we go up there. Like, we don't even turn TV on. We just build.
Love that.
We cut wood
Love
and stock
that.
up for the next like trip.
Yep.
We build fires. We got a big brick fire like pit outside too.
Mm-hmm.
We hang up the hammocks, and we got a 4x4 little Honda, and we just drive around the mountain and go to the lakes.
See, that's my kind of happy. That's my happy place right there. I never even been there, and I know it's my happy place.
Out of all the places I've
Sounds
been,
very serene.
out of all the places I've been and traveled to, like especially around.
Kevin's
the,
like, will my Maserati make it up the mountain?
I'm gonna tell you, if it didn't rain, yeah, you might be able to get it up there. But
I would rent a
not.
car, okay? I would rent a car.
It would, yeah. No, I would not take that up there. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's so funny.
Yeah, but plenty of hiking up there. Summertime's great because they got a river down there, and we go and float in tubes.
Yes, that's my
And
jam.
There's little spots like restaurants and stuff like you literally can
Yes.
pull your tube off,
No, that's
put the
what I
tube
wanted.
on the side, go up there, eat, drink, get back on the tube, keep going. Mm-hmm. It's good stuff.
Okay, well, I'm in. I just invited myself
There you
for
go.
sure.
No, we're in.
Okay.
You are
Dude,
the creator.
All
of
I
the
have,
trip.
yeah, all
You
I have
asked
to do is
him.
tell Papa Grady, hey, let us. come
I
to
also
town.
got to meet him, by the way.
Oh, he do. He'd
So like
love
he's
you.
got to be there.
He'd love you.
So
Yeah, well, he's always
do it.
gonna be there.
Bring the kids.
be a
I'll
great
get a
trip.
babysitter. I'll bring a babysitter with us
Yeah.
that could just like, monitor the kids a little bit so that we don't have to like,
that
Yeah.
sounds good. I'm in.
How's training coming along?
Great.
Are
It's
you
going
ready?
good.
Are you ready to roll?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Are you gonna fuck shit up?
Yeah,
How
I'm ready.
How excited are you for UFC 300?
I'm excited.
Yeah?
Like it's, we're getting down to the home stretch, 4 weeks out.
Where's it gonna be at, by the way?
Vegas.
Vegas. Okay.
Yeah. Training's going great.
Mecca.
I'm feeling good. I'm just excited,
That's
like
awesome.
I feel like everything is coming together so perfectly. Like this is my time. I feel like I'm hitting my peak, like mentally, physically, spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
Like my fight IQ has like made really big strides in the past year and a half. Like it's all coming together at the perfect time. It's about to be the perfect storm.
So
and I can't
mentally,
wait.
you're in the best place right now. You think?
Oh my gosh,
for
mentally, like, yeah, dude, I'm like solid as a rock right now.
That's
I
awesome.
couldn't be more mentally fit and prepared for what is about to go down.
How is that like to be able to step into that stage, and you go into that cage, and you have thousands of people watching? Like, what is that feeling?
Well,
like,
it's
for
like
people who've
insane.
never experienced
No, it's
that?
insane. Like every time I'm making a walk to a cage, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like,
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Every time I'm like, dude, I'm like, 2 Olympic gold medals wasn't enough, you dickhead. Like, you're really gonna
why am I doing this again?
I'm like, why am I doing this? This is insane. Who does this?
Yeah.
And then they close the door, and I take a deep breath, and
it's just you and her in the cage.
it's just
And the
me,
ref.
another woman, and it's about like finding out what you're made of.
Do you just shut off all the noise?
Yeah, it doesn't like I don't do anything. It just goes off.
Yeah.
Like I just hear my coaches' voices, and like everything gets really calm.
Can you still hear them like relatively like you can hear them pretty good?
My coaches? Yeah. No, I can hear my coaches.
Over the cheering, screaming.
Does
Yeah,
Mike
yeah, yeah.
scream?
Everything.
Yeah,
like a pretty-
I make fun of Mike because he's like a very, he's a quiet guy. He's not loud or anything. Him and Mako both like not super loud. And, Michael, we make fun of him at the gym because he'll be like, maybe jab. And I'm like, maybe, motherfucker? Like, just
Jab.
jab. And he's like, maybe calf kick, And I'm like,
Bro.
Mike, I'm gonna need you to say it with your chest. Say it with your chest. Like, I need to
Authority.
believe in it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But no, I mean, I trust them.
Yeah.
I trust them with my life and my career, and I believe in our game plan. I believe in our preparation, and now it's time to it's almost time to go have some fun.
Yeah.
All the hard work, the hay's about to be in the barn. Like the work is about to be done. I can't wait for it.
Dude, I'm pumped for you. I can't wait.
Week of, do you train really at all? Is it
Yeah, I
more
mean, you just like go through the motions,
light,
drilling.
break a sweat?
Yeah, you're like going through the motions. You're just like,
Are you sparring that much, or is it?
no, you don't spar really. Like
Mhm.
probably 10 days out, I stop sparring.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 2 weeks out, we'll start to ease up on the throttle, like slow down one a days versus the like intense training that I've been doing right now.
How long's your warm up before the fight? Like when you're in the back.
I warm up good. I like to warm up.
How long? How long do you usually go for?
Like
What's like I guess the point?
like
where you warm up?
slow. I'll like slowly start to warm up, like probably about an hour.
Okay.
Like I'll do a jog and then I'll stretch and then I'll hit some pads and then I'll take a break and then I'll like grapple and then take but like slow, steady ease into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you listen to music while you're doing it, or do you just like kind of get yourself in
When
the
I do
zone?
my jog, I listen to music, and then when I'm not doing whatever it is, I have like a playlist actually that I've listened to since I won the Junior Worlds when I was like 18.
What's on there?
It's an all Eminem playlist.
Eminem.
Yeah, I like just happened to make it. I was going through a real,
It's like
dark
2000s?
phase. Yeah, and I made it, and I was in Thailand, and like. It was a really big tournament, the Junior Worlds. Like, it's kind of like most people who win the Junior Worlds go on to become world or Olympic medalists. And no one thought I was going to do shit. And I won the tournament. And I was like, I will always listen to this playlist. And I have ever since then. I don't know why, but it just like kind of puts me in that same space of like, oh, it's go time.
What's the walkout song?
For the fight?
Yeah.
I haven't picked it yet.
You haven't picked it yet? Are
I
we
know.
going Eminem, or are you doing something different?
No, I'm not going to go Eminem.
Rap?
I don't know. I'm really struggling with it. So
Are you?
if anyone has any suggestions,
Oh, I got plenty.
Send them.
I'll gladly. I have a walkout playlist right now, like walkout song playlist that I'm listening to try and figure out what, you only make a first impression one time. Like,
True.
so
Who's your favorite rapper?
Eminem for sure. Yeah. But
Should come out to some like sexy sax.
I don't even know who that is.
Some sexy saxophone.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about? You ever see like any of those reels and memes?
Yeah,
That's what you
yeah.
should come out to. I think that would make a great first impression.
Oh my god.
Just got to get hype, man.
Dude, that is hype.
Yeah. Wait, so she doesn't hug her corner before she goes in the cage.
I know.
What do? You just say, like, you just go in the cage. They know the drill, right?
Yeah, I don't.
Is it Steve, Mike,
and Anderson?
Yeah,
my striking coach.
Okay.
And Big Jim will be there. I don't get four corners, so I won't have. He'll be somewhere close by, but
with me, because I do her
are
clothes.
you? Yeah,
She takes off her joggers and
Yeah.
throws aside. I pick them up.
Is that
I'm the
that's
picker-upper.
what you're the picker upper.
Yeah, I'm the jogger. I've
Perfect.
put myself in that position.
Awesome. That's funny. I would love to see you do that. That way I could just cheer for you.
He would like get in the cage and like
He would
start
try
fucking
to.
around. I know. It would be out of control.
It would not be good. Yeah.
Because we were laughing about that. What was that we were talking about earlier? Maybe this other day. About you like possibility of like you if you were at UFC 299.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, dude, I would have lost my shit seeing you standing next to her. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I would have done something stupid.
Oh, I
as soon as that camera,
I know.
As soon as that
I
camera
wanted
got on
him
me,
to come so bad
Yeah.
just because I know
I was
he
telling
would
him-
lose his shit.
he was like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna do. He was like, if it was I was there and that camera pointed at me, he's like, I would have done something so embarrassing.
Oh my God.
Like,
yeah.
So I'm so glad I didn't take you now.
I would have went in like a kiss cam or
Oh
something
my
like that.
God.
She would have. Oh my God. You're lucky you didn't bring me.
You should have dropped down and proposed right there.
I would have died.
Oh, I would have done that. That's a good one.
I would have.
Just buy a ring pop and pull it out.
She knows I would do it too.
I know he would. I would die. I would die. That would have been funny.
Well, thank
Dude,
you.
Caleb punched some kid in the liver that night.
What? Are we allowed to talk about it? Like, are we
I mean, he posted it online.
Oh, then you're fine.
Was it
we
a
were
a
leaving
random
the-
guy?
Yeah, no, we were leaving the fights and we were
Yo.
going out through the back. First of all, Trump was there, so like Secret Service took forever. So it was like 1 o'clock when the fights ended, 2 o'clock by the time we got to the car, but then the time change was 3 o'clock. I didn't get home till 4 o'clock in the morning. Oh God, I was dead. But so we're like sitting there waiting, and Marab is a judo guy. We were talking. I was telling him actually that I study a lot of his fights because he mixes his takedowns and his
he's such a
striking so well.
good guy.
Oh, I love him. Love
Was
him.
he like, thank you? Like, oh, that's
No,
such
he
an
was
honor.
like, no. And because
Yeah.
he uses a lot of judo too.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
remember
yeah.
meeting him way, way, way back in the day, and him like before I even thought about doing MMA, and he asked me for a picture. He was like training in New York. He was at Henzo's maybe. And he was like, oh, this is a judo like Olympic champion. Like he was like pumping me up. And I was like, who the hell is this guy? Like, and lo and behold, look at him like killing it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love to see it. But I was telling him that I love to study his fights because he uses so much judo. Anyways, we were in the back and this kid kept like not bothering him, but was like, will you punch me in the stomach? Will you punch me in the stomach? And Kayla, little Kayla's like, she's like 5'2". She was like, I'll do it.
She's a boxer too.
She's a boxer.
Boxer base, right?
And so she like
Laid this dude out.
ripped him in the it ripped him, and like he like doubled over. It was so funny, and
That's
I was like,
awesome.
I grabbed her. I was like, all right, we're leaving. Like, we gotta go.
Is that the craziest thing that you've seen at a fight? Like some fan do, or like I'm sure you've seen some
Oh,
ridiculous
honey,
stuff.
No.
What's like when I would love to know that. Like, what
At
is
a
some of the
fight?
craziest thing you've seen like a fan, either like
A fan?
do or say or whatever. Besides fans fighting each other in the stands.
I mean, like, I was very I definitely enjoyed sitting next to the fighters.
Yeah.
I've been to UFC events and not sat next to the fighters, and then like listened to fans.
You're just with the savages.
And with the peasants.
Yeah.
And I'm not sorry. The things that they say, like I have no shame in calling them that.
I think they know.
They are so out of control. Like they're just, and I love it. Like I love their passion for the sport and like, but they're fucking nuts. Like they're like, why don't you just hit him? And I'm like, do you think it's that easy? Like you get in there and do it, you know? Like
You're not punching him enough.
yeah.
Punch more.
Kick him! Get up! I'm like, oh my God, like please shut up. And like, God bless them.
Yeah.
They're three sheets to the wind, and they're like, but then like then they're like, woo, then the wooing starts. Oh my God, that drives me crazy.
The woo girls come out and just start.
They just woo, and I'm like, oh, if you think it's boring, then you get in there and fight somebody, like.
Wait, did you punch Dillon Danis?
Oh my God.
I gotta know. I gotta know.
I slapped him.
Push the controller. See the controller on the side? Just push one of the buttons. There you go. Sorry.
Yeah, he was in like a beef with my manager Ali, and
because of Connor and shit.
I don't know when it was. It was like way before any of that even happened.
Yeah,
we were at. It was after my first. Was it after my first title fight? I can't remember. It was maybe my first year of fighting, but it was on New Year's Eve. We went to a club, and I was with my ex at the time, and I was a little tipsy, and like he was in the VIP and we were in the VIP, and like he was kind of like talking and chirping to Ali and my ex and like everybody, and I like just kind of got up and got in his face and was like chirping back, and then I may have given him a little slap. And I was like, what are you gonna do about it? And then I like ran away.
He deserved it. He deserved it.
I mean, I shouldn't have done that. That was not very kind, but we all make mistakes.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm sorry, Dillon.
Well, Kayla, thank you. On that note,
I'm not that sorry.
No.
No.
Well, thank you.
No, thank you guys.